safe to say, even without knowing the first few quarters of game one of the NBA Finals, the Pacers are on one hell of a run to prove quite literally everybody wrong. Because, wow, that game one, at least, of the NBA Finals was phenomenal. And I will fully admit, I went to bed when they were down like 19 or whatever it was, because I was like, yeah, they're cooked. It's over. And I woke up to see the Pacers pulled it off by 1 point again. They're like 6-0 in 1 point decided games or something like that. It was like, I was like, damn, they did it again. Like, they seriously did it again. And I missed it because I was fully down it. I mean, you know, I told you, I thought it was OKC, Pacers, OKC, finals over. That was my prediction. Quite literally, first game was wrong.
Well, so I had the opposite experience. I actually, just because of bar prep and just, you know, being busy with that, the way my, you know, schedule kind of broke out that day is I saw the very beginning of it. I went back upstairs to knock a few things out. And then you're right. I kind of said, man, OKC's up big. They're really, you know, the Pacers have 19 turnovers in the first half. Again, let me emphasize that the Pacers had 19 turnovers in the first half after you and I last episode talked about how important that turnover battle was going to be against the defense like Oklahoma City. But I stayed up. I was like, you know what? Let's watch the end of this game. Let's see how it goes. You know what? I just need something to just take my mind off the books for a little bit. And instead, I had an absolute spiritual experience watching game one of the NBA Finals. It was just straight cinema from start to finish. And I mean, look, like, I'm not going to lie. And you know how high I've been on Indy and how I said I feel like they made me look pretty smart in this playoff run. I was like, I picked OKC in a competitive 6. But there was a little part of me that was kind of worried going into this series where I was like, oh man, OKC might just like also like run the gauntlet here. And this just won't really be that entertaining. Like, more than anything, I just want an entertaining series. I have no rooting dog in this fight. I just want the best hoops possible. And let me tell you something, we got it game one. It was phenomenal. I mean, you're right. Like, Indiana, this is just like, this is 3 or 4. This is the 4th time they've done this now. Yeah. Like, we're in a game that they probably had no business winning. You know, going back to that clincher against Milwaukee, the game 2 against the Cavs, game 1 against the Knicks, and now game 1 here, same sort of vibe as the Knicks. Again, they didn't lead until that last Hallie shot of the game. Like, they were down this entire game, Justin. And then to go in there, like, take the life out of OKC, hit a buzzer beater, and you know what? Listen, you knew it was going to and a few things just real like quick before we get into all the X's and O's. Obviously, I give Rick Carlisle a ton of credit for not calling timeout because they had a timeout left. And I think that would have allowed OKC to get into their defensive sets. You know, when Caruso was playing a phenomenal game the way he was, when Lou Dort was playing a phenomenal game defensively the way he always does, I think getting out, trusting your guys to get it done. And they're trusting, again, Hallie, who is on one of the best individual clutch runs we've seen from anybody ever. You know, trusting him to make that shot and get in that situation. But again, it's just like, they're just relentless and they find ways to hit these shots. I mean, it's Miles Turner hitting a 3 kind of falling that banks off the glass. You know, it's a really tough 3 from Andrew Nembhard, who, you know, you want to talk about the X factor MVP of the game, like, give him a game ball as well. Like, when the Thunder were really blitzing Haliburton, the fact that he was able to take over more of the primary ball handling roles, like, just phenomenal down the stretch again from a guy who's been phenomenal down the stretch.
Yeah, I would take that, you know, the lead tracker that you can go look at on NBA's website where, you know, the colors change up and down based off the middle. Yeah, because
percentages. It's like the stock market, like, literally. Like, I know we say who's falling in the stock market. This literally looks like a stock chart.
If I'm the Pacers, I have that thing framed because, they're at no point do the Pacers have a lead except for in the first quarter of the first few minutes where it looks like it's tied. And then it just slow tracks down OKC until they get to that 15-point lead at the, you know, pretty much beginning of the fourth quarter. And then you just see it slowly, like the AT&T symbol upside down, just slowly track back towards the Pacers. Yeah. So that's obviously a really cool feat on their end, a huge comeback. Obviously, momentum has to be Pacers side now. Just a few observations. You know, I did find it surprising because something we talked about last game is we thought we wanted to see how the rebound game ended up, and it heavily favored the Pacers.
Yeah.
Which I think is worth mentioning. I mean, 56-39, assists as well. 24 assists to 13. But like you said, the Thunder had 14 steals. The Pacers had 24 turnovers and still somehow figured out a way to win that game. Their shooting percentages in that game specifically are off the chart. It is worth mentioning. You brought this up. You talk about Nembhard and some of the other guys stepping up. It's like you look at the leading players for each, of the four main stats that everyone likes to look at. You don't see Hallie on there at all. It's Pascal Siakam, Nembhard, Miles Turner. So like, it's kind of surprising, but also not surprising because that's what Hallie's been doing all year. Essentially, is he's a rounded player. He's never going to lead the box. Well, he does at times, but he's not going to be the guy that like has to lead the box score. If you're clamping down on him, then he can distribute it or even be a distraction so that other guys like Nembhard can kind of shine or Pascal Siakam can go get his points.
Yeah, no, it's that balance, right? It's six different players they had in double figures. We haven't even mentioned Obi Toppin off the bench, who, again, give him a game ball as well. 5 of 8 from beyond the arc, multiple big shots in the fourth quarter. And that's coming from him, who he had a kind of disastrous start to that game. Like a few bad fouls, just, it didn't feel like he was in any flow at all, and that's just like at some point you have to give, like, this isn't by an accident. Like, you don't just keep winning these games. Like it is. Like that mental belief, that coolness under pressure, like that is an identity a little bit and has become the Pacers' identity. Because you're right. Like, I don't think anybody on earth thought the Pacers were winning this game other than the Pacers. And like, look, that's all that mattered. They just kept going. They didn't really get, like you said, all those turnovers in the first half, with Dort and Caruso everywhere the way they were, like, and it was funny because when you go into this series, I think the people that had Indy winning game one, it was going to be more along the lines of, oh, well, OKC hasn't played here in a little bit. Indy's coming fresh off a series. Like, they're just more in rhythm. Like, OKC's going to have to shake the rust off a little bit. No, it wasn't really any of that at all. Like, OKC came out the gate flying. Like, they looked like they were ready for the moment. And then, I mean, look, there's no way around it. It's a heartbreaking loss. Now, to flip it back the other side and not be too negative, we saw a similar situation in round 2. Denver has that late comeback. Aaron Gordon hits a really tough shot to beat them in game 1. And the Thunder came out and they just absolutely blew the doors off them in game 2. I'm not saying they're going to blow the doors off them, but I am expecting the Thunder to bounce back here and win game 2. The interesting thing that you brought up, though, going back to that rebounding battle, was like one of the decisions that we wondered. It was whether OKC was going to go small at points or whether OKC was going to keep running this two-man big lineup that they had done for most of the season. Like, I don't want to say moving Wallace into the starting lineup was unexpected because they had ran this lineup before. I think they had this starting group, 6 times a year with Wallace and Dort and SGA and Jalen Williams and Chet. But yeah, you're right. When they get killed on the glass the way they did, they had pretty much staggered Chet in Hartenstein's minutes. I do wonder if Mark Daigneault goes back to that bigger lineup because they got killed on the glass the way they did. I mean, when you're looking at what went wrong for the Thunder too, Chet Holmgren had pretty much a disaster class in game 1. He was pretty terrible.
2 for 9, 6 rebounds. That was definitely one of the stats that kind of just popped off the screen to me a little bit.
Yeah, Jalen Williams didn't really shoot that well from the field, which, like, again, he's been up and down. He had a horrible start to the playoffs, but he kind of turned it on in the conference finals a little bit, like a little bit up and down. Even SGA had 38 points, but like he's 14 to 30 from the field. Like, it was kind of, again, they were so close to winning, and he did hit a big shot to put them up 5 late. So, like, you don't want to. Like, SGA is not the reason I'm thinking that they lost that game, right? I don't want to sound like I'm saying that, but it was like, there are a few guys that were kind of off for the Thunder, which is disappointing when you have such a good, quality game from like Caruso and Dort the way they did.
At least on the offensive side, the things that stick out to me is like it looked like Hartenstein was ready, and the experience he essentially had in the playoffs last year kind of got him there. Because I mean, 9 rebounds, led the team in rebounds. 3, he's not the offensive guy that you need him to be, especially on this team, but 3 for 5. But then on the other side of it, you look at Jalen Williams, who was 6 for 19. Wallace, who was 3 for 9, and Lou Dort was a little more efficient, 5 for 10, but maybe even if he could get that a little more uh, on the field goal side, though the threes were phenomenal. So we'll take that.
He was so good defensively too, man.
Yeah.
Like Lou Dort, we know this is what he does, but dude, he was phenomenal on the defensive end.
If you just get back to a little bit of average on the Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren side, I think you're back in there. You get a few more points from Chet. We're kind of used to Chet being around the 10, a little higher.
They lost by 1 point.
Right,
you
that's what I mean.
2 more baskets, we're good.
I mean, Chet's averaging 15 a game, so you get him even back to the average. Okay, this isn't a thing. So a little bit on that. Maybe Jalen Williams on the offensive side being more efficient from the field goal attempts standpoint, and 3. I mean, 25% for 3. And we're having a different conversation here. But to that, I wonder if that's to your point. Do they try to go with the double big man thing? I noticed Tony Bradley didn't play, and I know Bradley and Thomas Bryant were the two that they were kind of using to combat when teams go big. So it'll be interesting to see if that's what ends up happening in game 2 or down the line a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean that, and I mean again, it's just going to be about the mental to me. I go back to that conference finals and. The Pacers the Knicks were shell shocked after that. It really did feel like they just took the wind out of their sails. Same with Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland, granted, it was a little more bleak because it was an 0-2 situation at that point when that happened. OKC, it's going to be, and we've seen moments, like I said, namely in that Denver series, but, they got blown out by 40 plus points against Minnesota. I still feel like they were in pretty good control of that series. And even then you're up 2-1. So I don't think you're quite hitting the button. But I mean, yeah, this is going to be a big test. If they go down 0-2, God forbid, and you're going back to Indy, where at that point you feel all you got to do is steal 1, given how well we played on the road in the playoffs. The pressure's on OKC. OKC is the team that has been the best team in the league all year, that is basically, trying to close this out and cap their incredible season, one of the best seasons in NBA history. The Pacers very much know that they're the underdog in this series. And there is a little bit when you get to play loose with that, you got to see it there in game 1. I think that feeds into hey, nobody expects us to win. So let's just go out and have some fun. Even in Hallie's quote after the game, basketball is fun. Winning is fun.
Right.
So I'm more importantly though, I'm just excited to see a competitive series so far. I'm hoping this carries over. I don't think OKC, again, to circle back, is going to go down 0-2. No. I do think OKC is going to win this game 2. I would be surprised if they won this game 2 by double digits, to be quite honest. The question is going to be when we get back to Indy. So, you get back to Indy, can the Pacers keep it up? Do we know that certainly the arena is going to be raucous? But they love that. That OKC arena was loud too. You got to give that crowd a lot of credit. Even when it was close and it looked like the Pacers were coming back, the crowd was still in it. They were very much, but it was. I think that's why it was so eerie. When Al hit that shot, he took the life out of that arena. Don't see that too often.
Game 2 will be what it is. So I'm interested to see where that goes. But if you lose game 3 by if you're OKC and you lose game 3 to the Pacers by a surprising amount or enough to really make you worried, then I am okay, we might have a problem here. And the Pacers may be taking home the trophy at that point.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hold my reservation to make any full on thought until Wednesday. The game's at 8:30. So let's say, I'll be asleep. So I'll make it on Thursday. Dude, I'm too old to stay up that late these days. I'm trying. So I'm almost going to wait till after game 3. I think game 3, I know everyone says it, so it's kind of cliche, but I feel like after game 3, we'll really have an idea of where this series is going to go.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, OKC, unless they're down 2-0. If OKC's down 2-0, I think I'm looking around and I'm going, if I'm Indy, I got to win one game in Indy at 3-4. If it's 1-1, then obviously it's a little different. Indy at the minimum has to split there. But you're right. If you're OKC, even if you split those games, I go, hey, it's a best of 3 series. We've got 2 games at home. We got to feel pretty good about that and those chances every single time. But listen, man, who knows? Either way, instant classic in game 1. Pacers, again, give them credit, 4-0s in game 1s in these playoffs. They've really come out and they've set the tone. But again, for OKC, we've seen them come back for this too. So I'm I don't think OKC is going to be too shell shocked. I think they're definitely rattled, and they should be rattled after that game one loss. Like that's a pretty jarring collapse down the stretch, but I trust them to come back and get this done.
How do you feel about Van Pelt essentially admitting he was wrong to Hallie?
About what? Like
he was like, I doubted you guys. I had all these notes for OKC and winning game one, and so shout out to you guys for winning the whole thing. But I doubted you.
No, I mean, at points in that game, it was not really illogical to think OKC was going to win that game. I mean, again, they led for the large majority of that game. Like OKC is the favorite in this series. Like I think, and it's tough, man. The NBA is a changing. Like, and we'll see again. Who knows? Maybe the Thunder go out and win the next 4 games. I don't think that's going to happen, but there are a lot of people like basketball historically, and Scott Van Pelt's been doing this for a long time. Like basketball, we talk about has been such a dynastic sport. Like traditionally, it is the best team just wins every year. There aren't really many major upsets. I mean, when is the last time we've truly had an upset in the NBA Finals? And even then, because the ones that come to mind are like Toronto over the Warriors, but I also go, KD wasn't there. Like they were at the end of there. So like, I don't think that was as big of an upset as people give it credit for, especially when you go back and look at that Raptors lineup. The other one that comes to mind is the Mavericks, which ironically, again, look at Rick Carlisle. Here we are again. The Mavericks in 2011, the Mavericks beating the Heat was a big time upset. But yeah, other than that, it's usually, the best team wins. Michael Jordan's Bulls teams always won. Shaq and Kobe won. Run it down the line. The teams with LeBron won. The Spurs won. Like they're all. But
I guess my point is more like I don't need the reporters admitting when they're wrong. Like we know when they were wrong. I don't need these guys on ESPN and everyone to be like, yeah, I was wrong. And I know people try to call them out for it, but it's like I don't need that. You know what I mean?
It makes it about you a little bit, and you're right, because they're right. Like I don't care about your take in the grand scheme of the things. Like you can be wrong, but you're right. Like don't make it a whole big unless you were like unless it was some big like campaign that you've been on. Like if Scott Van Pelt had been on, I don't think the Pacers are good campaign all year. Then sure, then it's a little bit different. You can be like, yeah, you know what, I'm just wrong, my bad. But like I don't think that's it's not a wrong take to have thought that OKC was going to win game one or win the NBA Finals. Like you and I both picked the Thunder. Like it's not what I think is that, and again, this is more of not just the Scott Van Pelt, but to the greater league, is that it's like, no, this Pacers team is way better than casuals give them credit for. They have an identity. They play really hard. They have the ultimate belief in themselves. They've got not 9, but probably like 6 to 7 guys that can give you double digits every night. Nine was probably a little generous there. I don't know if Ben Shepherd's guaranteeing you every 10 every night yet, but they're well constructed. And, and honestly, the big thing too is, again, give Rick Carlisle a lot of credit. Like I thought, legendary coach no matter what for that run in Dallas, but I thought last year he was kind of a disaster, honestly, in the conference finals where, you look back and the job he's done this year, like big time hats off to him. Again, we talked a little bit, actually, I didn't ask you this question. I asked the group chat this. Chase and I, when we did the pod 2 episodes ago, whose legacy do you think takes a bigger bump if the Pacers win the title? Rick Carlisle or Pascal Siakam?
I think Siakam. Okay,
wow. So you're against the majority of this right now.
Yeah, I think Siakam because I think it kind of gets. It sounds weird, but like TJ, right? For my buddy who was a huge Knicks fan, he was sending me all these Siakam memes that were going on after the Pacers beat the Knicks. And so, like, I use him because he's a diehard Knicks fan, but he's a very casual NBA fan. So I use him as like, Siakam's starting to become like a thing that really is getting noticed by casual fans as well. And I think a player will always get more props in these scenarios. So I guess that's why I go Siakam.
Yeah, I mean, because Hallie's the number one guy on the Pacers, and so it's
Right, but
in a weird
Siakam,
way.
you know what I mean? Like Siakam's probably going to win. Like if it goes that way, like I'd be willing to bet that he wins Finals MVP or something like that. You know?
I don't know. I don't know. I go back and forth there because it was close. Like you're right. That conference Finals MVP that he won was decided by one vote, and I don't think that was wrong, by the way, for the record.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is like that very well could happen again if the Pacers win, and then it's like, well, now the dude's the Finals MVP. You know what I mean? And I
think I've settled on Rick, and you're not wrong because I think Siakam becomes much more of a household name. And at that point, when you've won with two different squads and played such a major role on both of those squads, like that should boost you into just like, hey, you are a winning player, guys. And teams improve when you are around.
You weren't.
There is something about Rick Carlisle, though.
Yeah.
Rick Carlisle winning 2 titles with 2 franchises like 14 years apart. Yeah. Only because, like, again, you go back to 2011 when the Mavs won and you look at it now in 2025, the NBA is a radically different league from now in 2025. Like, obviously the 3-point revolution, largely the biggest change, but like there's a lot that's happened between now and then. So like to win with 2 separate styles on 2 radically different teams, and again for teams that kind of upset the whole way, like Indy, it would be one of the most improbable finals runs ever if they win this championship. I mean, I would argue they could very well be number 1 of our lifetime if they do. So I don't know. So it's just a fun conversation.
I think obviously he won with Toronto in 2019. He wasn't the Finals MVP at that point, but I bet there's a lot of casuals that don't even realize that's the same person, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think they realize. And then now he won Most Improved in 2019. He's 3-time NBA All-Star, championship with Toronto. In this scenario, championship with the Pacers, and potentially the Finals MVP and Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Like, dude, I think that's when people start to connect and go, oh, wait, he was on the Raptors with Kawhi? Like, yeah, I think that's when people really start to realize or remember Pascal Siakam and go, oh, my God, dude, this guy's like a baller.
Yeah, no, for sure. Without a doubt. I mean, and again, a few years apart, too. So just kind of a little bit of impressive with that.
By the way, before you go any further, also before being drafted by the Raptors, he played in the D League. I keep forgetting it was called the D League.
Yeah. R.I.P. dude.
Where?
Go ahead.
By the way, he won a championship and was named Finals MVP.
Yeah, dude, it's been so long. The D League has been the G League now for so long, and it's crazy because they got that off, and like that became thing. Like the G League, when it's just a Gatorade sponsorship, man. Developmental league made so much sense, and I was like, I remember when that changed. I'm like, oh, there's no way people actually start saying G League. It won't stick around that long, and I literally can't think of anything else as other than the G League now.
Reading it right there felt weird. Like I was confused for a second. Like like you're going to the stat and you're like, wait a second. D League doesn't sound right. What's wrong here? And I'm trying to figure it out. But yeah, man. I mean, you look at this run from Pascal Siakam. I mean, D League champ 2017 and Finals MVP in the D League. By 22, you're selected at the NBA All Third Team. 2020, you're All NBA second team. You obviously win with the Raptors. You get 3 NBA All-Star nods, Most Improved Player, NBA championship, potentially twice, and Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Like, you're starting to stack awards, and I think that's when people really start to notice on that.
Yeah, no, I mean 100%. I don't fully disagree there. All right, welcome everybody to the Driving Dish NBA podcast. My name is Kevin Rafuse. Joining me as always, my co-host Justin Cousart.
I will preface this. This is not a tweet. This is a story post on Instagram. Great game, bro. I love you to the moon and back. Now grab a cigarette and a towel. We made a sex tape Kim Kardashian would envy.
Justin, what? What?
If I told you this was a post between Michael Beasley and Lance Stevenson, would you believe me?
I have so many questions, and I don't know if I want any of the answers to them.
So I want to bring this up because there's something going on, and this happened on June 6th. It was on tncleague.com. It's a new pay-per-view event thing that people obviously can pay for.
Right.
This was the second one. This was Lance Stevenson versus Michael Beasley for $100,000 one-on-one basketball.
Oh, interesting.
And from all the clips I've seen, it was electric.
I mean, okay, all right. Well, that has a little bit more. I don't know why that's the way they're getting attention for it, but I'm intrigued there a little bit. We always want to see these guys go one-on-one.
Well, and so that's what I wonder. Like, pay-per-view event, two NBA. Well, they said NBA legends. Let's not throw around the word legends so willingly. Let's calm down. But two MVPs, two NBA guys who obviously are known for talking their talk and pretty electric when they're hyped, go on a live stream and they're playing one-on-one for $100,000. From what I've heard, this new technology, this company that's doing it, it's like a live streaming technology. Apparently, a lot of people are really like happy with it. So essentially, what I'm wondering is if this slowly becomes more and more popular. And then obviously we could almost even go into the longer content of like, does the NBA take notice and use this as an idea for the All-Star Game week type situation?
Oh, I mean, I would love for them because the W's done it. Like, I would love for them to do the one-on-one tournament, but those guys there, damn well with their egos, they are not doing one-on-one because somebody's getting embarrassed. Like, that's the thing. For whoever that looks good for, one of these all-stars is going to be the subject of every meme you can think of.
Yep. But what if you brought in? What if you brought in some guys that are either like, like in a Lance Stevenson situation, like became casual fan legend in a way because of his LeBron antics and stuff like that. Like, what if you bring in somebody either recently retired or something like that to do a one-on-one game? Now, in this scenario, it was $40 to watch, which is too much. But you could pre-order it for $20.
If you think I'm paying $40 to watch Lance Stevenson and Michael Beasley play one-on-one, you have lost your mind.
Yeah. But
y'all gotta up it. You gotta give me way more than that if I'm paying $40
but that's what I'm saying. Like, what if it's a one-on-one tournament and there's more names, more high-profile names involved?
I would be intrigued potentially. Yeah, no, definitely. I would be intrigued in a one-on-one tournament for sure. I don't want to sound like I'm hating on the concept. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, you gotta give me a little more than that.
You got some brainstorming to do. If it's gonna be $40, I need a little more than that. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I need 6-7 events at least if we're doing that. Like,
also one of the most aggressive story posts to put out.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I'm gonna Men in Black. I need the little like wipe that out of your memory.
I don't want to hear that again.
Yeah, we're gonna wonder. I don't know what's going on there. Leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad. We'll read them on the podcast. If you're not an Apple user, Google Play Store, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Player FM, anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us.
Yes, and follow us on YouTube, Drive and Dish NBA. You can find us there. Subscribe. You'll get notifications when new episodes are coming out.
Now, a word from our sponsors.
So what? We're diving right into Grid.
No, I mean, we can play some Grid here real quick. Yeah, it's a little bit of a shorter episode. I mean, there's not really much going on headlines wise. This is kind of as we alluded to at the end of last episode. We were just going to kind of talk game one here a little bit. I mean, the only like headlines I saw this week, Adam Silver was talking expansion again a little bit. I feel like we've been pretty. I mean, look, I feel like if it's going to be in Seattle. And it's going to be in Vegas. Like, if it's going to be the two teams, those will be the two teams. It certainly seems like they've teed that up. Sonic's coming back, and then whatever in Vegas. And then, Europe. My bad. Excuse me. He talked about Europe. He mentioned the potential and, kind of doing something, more formalized. Obviously, like FIBA is huge over there, kind of. It's tough, though, because, like, I don't know with how successful a lot of those clubs have been. Like, I don't know how you bring like Barcelona under the wing of like the NBA and maybe, I mean, if they put a lot of sponsorship into it, but like, it's harder for me to see like a full G League over there necessarily. I also think you're just going to have a harder time getting, I think it's already borderline hard enough to get guys to play in the G now. And that's with it in America. Like, you're going to ship them over to Europe now and don't get me wrong. Like, I think nothing wrong with going to Europe, but a little different there. So I think that still has a long way to go.
And I just kind of feel like, I guess at this point, I feel like it's boy that cried wolf a little bit. I feel like after the end of every season, we're talking expansion at some point, and it seems like it's a serious conversation. And so, like, I just don't want to give it anything until we actually get something, you know? And it's just like we've been down this road so many times now that I'm like, all right, I'm over it. You guys tell me when it's actually happening, and then I'll actually like look into it a little more.
No, yeah, 100%. I mean, the Knicks there are a few names that are starting to pop up for the Knicks head coach. One of them is Mike Malone and one of them is Jason Kidd, and one of those things I like so much more than the other. Trying to pry Kidd out of Dallas would be so insane. Like, firing Tibbs or Jason Kidd is just like, why did you fire Tibbs at that point?
Mm-hmm.
Mike Malone, on the other hand, now, hang on.
That's intriguing. Yeah, that's a real intriguing.
He might be on to something there. Then, I mean, the other one too is Taylor Jenkins. Like, again, kind of same deal in Memphis. Like, late firing. I feel like he didn't do a bad job there. Like, I don't really blame him for everything that went wrong. But
no, but I'd probably go Malone over him.
Oh, yeah, I would too. Malone's got the title. Like, Malone was great in Sacramento. He's great. Yep. I know that he's a little abrasive at some point. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, definitely he's been, I think that'd be a great hire for the Knicks. But yes, let's play some Immaculate Grid, shall we?
Immaculate Grid is very plain today, but a nod to the finals, I think, is probably why they did this.
That's fine. I mean, that is kind of fitting. Wow. Oh my God. Dude, you weren't kidding. Holy crap. And they're not even any of the new categories. That's crazy. All right. You can always, again, watch the Immaculate Grids on YouTube. Just search Drive and Dish NBA podcast. For our podcast users, super final themed this week. We have our columns from left to right. The Oklahoma City Thunder, first round draft pick and Hall of Fame. Our rows from top to bottom. The Indiana Pacers, 20 points per game and 5,000 assists for their career. We kind of speed ran it last week. I feel like do you want to speed run it this week? I mean, try and think, like,
I'll give you two people right off the bat that I know, actually three that played for OKC and the Pacers. Paul George.
Yeah. Yep.
DJ Augustine. Dougie McBuckets.
Okay, so Dougie McBuckets I expected. Paul George is one of the obvious ones. There's two more super obvious ones. The two more super obvious ones are Victor Oladipo and
Oladipo. I forgot about him. Yeah.
Dude, Domantas Sabonis.
Sabonis as well. You're right. I would think Oladipo would probably be
I think PG's one. I think Oladipo's probably.
No. I'm saying sneaky at OKC 20 points. Do we think he did it though?
Not in OKC. No.
Yeah, okay.
He was behind Russ. Like, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think he did it. I don't trust it enough that he did it in OKC. Put it that way.
I think DJ Augustine's probably the lowest.
All about DJ Augustine.
Yeah.
I'm super cool with DJ Augustine as the guess.
I like it. Yeah, 1%. That's wild.
Oh, yeah. I don't think there's any way Oladipo had 20 there.
OKC 20 points. I mean, obviously the big three right off the rip, KD, Russ. James Harden, and Russ. I was like, why can't I think of their names now? So that's obviously an easy one.
I don't think Harden had 20 in OKC. Not in OKC.
Oh, okay.
He's come off the bench.
Okay.
Russ 100% did, and obviously KD did too. The other obviously, I mean, Paul George, who we just mentioned, probably
Paul George
did. I think Paul George definitely had 20 in OKC.
Do you think Chris Paul? Probably not.
Oh, dude, that's so close, man. He was great, but I don't know if I trust him to score 20, but he was great there. Oh, man.
Who else? No. There's got to be another obvious, like a big man.
Well, I mean, the other easy one is SGA. If you want, well, I guess the SGA, other question too, just if we really want to go back, we haven't mentioned any of the Sonics. We could do the Sonics too.
Does it count for Sonics? Are we sure? Okay.
It's the same franchise. It better.
Okay.
Because if you count the Sonics, I mean, you got Ray Allen's definitely had 20. I think Sean Kemp probably had 20.
Do you want to do Ray Allen at 20 then?
Yeah, I'll do Ray Allen.
Because we could do like Ray Allen at 20 and then like a James Harden at 5,000 assists.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know
I'm
what I
cool with
mean?
that. Yeah, for sure.
All right, so Ray Allen there. 7% is huge. Assists, let's go Harden.
Yeah, we can go hard in there. Because Russ will be the number one answer there for
12 is
sure.
surprising that it's still that high. But yeah, Sabonis was a first round pick, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a first round pick.
So we could probably go Sabonis on that for Pacers.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of somebody chalky that they drafted recently that like
Oladipo would be an interesting one.
we can do Oladipo there.
Too,
Yeah, I mean
Oladipo
is definitely a first round pick. He was number 2. He
yeah,
probably would have gone 1 if they had taken Anthony Bennett. That was an Anthony Bennett draft.
Huge. Yep. Oh yeah. All right. So obviously
Oladipo would have been a good first round, 20 a game per season too. He definitely was super low.
He would be low. He would be low for sure.
God, I'm trying to think of like because you could get this can be low for some of these 20 games per season and first round pick. I mean, it's anybody basically ever thought of.
Do we think either of the Gasols?
Yeah, 100%. Powell definitely had 20 a game at one point.
I'm more thinking Mark. Mark was close to 20. God. He had to have gotten close. I'm not confident.
I'm not either. I mean, it would have been with the Grizz, but
yeah, that's what I mean. And there were other options.
I don't trust Mark to get 20.
What about Mike Conley? What about Mike Conley, who was also on that team?
Mike, I kind of do trust to get 20. I feel like Mike is one of those players I feel like we've done where it's like one of those where it's like, man, he sneaks by. There are a few players like this. But Mike, I think it's like if it's going to be 20, it's going to be like 20 and change. But I do, for the record, think Mike Conley had 20 a game at one point.
And he was a first rounder, right? Like I'm not okay. So let's go
he was
Mike.
Top 10 pick. Yeah,
he was
this
a top
will be
10,
low.
really.
Definitely a top 10 pick.
0.04, I should say.
Lord.
There you go.
Mike Conley was, God, I feel like he was like 5 or 6 maybe. Mike Conley draft pick 4. He was 4 overall in 07.
Wow. Okay. All right. So first round draft pick, 5,000 plus career assists is probably relatively easy.
Can you name real quick? I'm gonna put you on the spot. Can you name the 3 players that got drafted ahead of Mike Conley? And they're all good.
What was the year?
07.
Oh, dude. No. Are they all still playing?
2 of them are actually. One is not. 2 of them are.
I have no idea.
We mentioned one of them a few times in this grid already.
Gasol?
And that should hopefully give it away.
Paul George?
No. PG was like 2010, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Think Thunder.
Harden or Westbrook.
Go back further, bud. The other
one. Durant. Okay.
Durant's 2 in this draft. This is the Greg Oden draft. Greg Oden was 1. Durant was 2.
Wow.
But this draft though, they just like Conley was 4, or Durant was 2. Al Horford was 3. So obviously great pick there at 3. Conley was 4. Great pick at 4. Our guy Jeff Green at 5, Uncle Jeff, who's been around. So like again, not all-star, but it's been in the league for quite a long time. And then it starts to get a little like the next best pick after that is like Joakim Noah was 9, and it kind of falls off. Like a few guys that were in the draft, like Thad Young, our boy, was in that draft. He was 12. That was actually a good pick for this draft. Good job, Sixers. All right, you nailed that one. Marcus Saul is the value pick of this draft. Marcus Saul went at 48 this draft actually in 07.
Wow.
So,
okay.
But yeah, obviously super loaded up front. And I mean Greg Oden again, obviously tragedy with all the injuries and stuff. But all right. First round draft pick, 5,000 career assists, a lot of options here. I don't really want to run through all of them.
Do you think we go Westbrook off the fact that I probably would be willing to put a lot of money on that he's either used on other spots or people didn't think about him here?
Yeah, we can do it for that reason. I still think he'll be fairly high, but because he will have definitely been used elsewhere. 2%. Okay.
My thinking is like this whole row here could have been him.
Yeah.
So I figured it would pull him that way, like.
Sure. I got to get him in here somewhere. All right. Pacers Hall of Fame. I mean, Reggie's the easy one.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. It gets kind of tough after that. Chris Mullin, I think, played for the Pacers. like late in his career.
Yeah.
And so he definitely would be one. I don't think like I'm trying all those like Hall of Fame, like all the guys on those Pacer squads that were good in the early 2000s, like they're in the Hall of Very Good, but they didn't really make the finals like that.
Yeah.
God, I feel like you got to go like way back in the day. I feel like if you're trying to get other Pacers that would be on this list.
And that's where I fully don't count, because I can't. I'm not going to be able to help with that.
You know what? I have one. I have a boomer, and we got to use him. Because he's an Immaculate Grid darling, and because he played for so many teams, and I keep seeing him pop up, and I'm excited that I'm finally going to get to use him for once. Adrian Dantley played for the Pacers.
Dantley?
Yeah, Dantley. Adrian. He's a player in the 70s and the 80s. He played a bunch. He's all of fame. Like genuinely. Yeah. He's actually Jazz, probably most famous for.
I'll have to look him up. I got nothing on Dantley.
Yeah, Adrian Dantley is definitely. Chris Mullin would have worked too. I mean, we do Chris Mullin Hall of Fame 20 a game per season. I think he'll be pretty low. He definitely has 20 a game. Yeah, we do Chris Mullin.
Mullin at 0.3.
Yeah, 0.3%. Nice. All right, in Hall of Fame, let's cap it off. 5,000 assists. Again, plenty of options here.
Kobe. Let's just go Kobe, right?
God, oh my God, he has to, right? There's no way he doesn't have 5K.
I will take the loss if Kobe doesn't have 5K assists.
That's fine. I try. He played for 20 years. He has to, even by accident. Like Kobe is too. Okay, thank God, dude. But it's crazy that there's a split part of me that was like, I was legit kind of worried for a sec.
Yeah, are we sure?
All right, love that for us. All right, so the most popular answers: 317 first round draft. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Slow, like that is probably the highest I've ever seen. All right, Just, can you go back to the grid?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. You can't. I was gonna go look at the. I forgot you can see the whole screen.
All right. So our most popular answers this week was Paul George for Pacers and Thunder, Tyrese Haliburton, Pacers first round draft pick, Reggie Miller, Pacers Hall of Fame, 20 points a game per season for the Thunder, Kevin Durant, 20 in first round pick, LeBron James, 20 in Hall of Fame, Michael Jordan. Thunder 5,000 career assists, Russell Westbrook, first round pick, 5,000 career assists, Magic Johnson, and Hall of Fame 5,000 career assists, John Stockton.
Hardest question was the OKC Pacers Connect, which makes sense.
Rest of these are easy. I mean, first round is such a gimme. Like there's so many guys that you could have in the first round. Our grid, to run it back one last time: the Pacers and Thunder, DJ Augustine, Pacers first round draft pick, Victor Oladipo, Pacers Hall of Fame, Adrian Dantley. Thunder 20 a game per season, Ray Allen, 20 a game per season, first round draft pick, Mike Conley, 20 a game and Hall of Fame, Chris Mullin. Thunder 5,000 career assists, James Harden, 5K assists and first round draft pick, Russell Westbrook, and 5,000 career assists and Hall of Fame, Kobe Bryant. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. Appreciate you guys. As always, leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad. We'll read them on the podcast. We will read them on the podcast. Sorry. If you're not an Apple user, anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us. Just real quick before you plug the YouTube, we will be back regular Saturday next week. That'll be a little more of a more normal episode. We'll do balling and falling and all that. And we'll be breaking down games 2, 3, and 4, which will have happened by the time we record next week. So stay tuned for that.
Yep. And like we said, follow us on YouTube for video versions of the podcast. You can watch along as we do the Immaculate Grid. Drive and Dish NBA on YouTube. You can subscribe and you'll get notifications when new episodes are coming out.